شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. إخواني أخواتي، أوصيكم بتقوى الله العظيم ولزوم طاعته لقوله تعالى: يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. إخواني أخواتي، أوصيكم بتقوى الله العظيم ولزوم طاعته، وأوصيكم بلزوم ذكر الله تعالى وذكر سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم والصلاة عليه في كل لحظة وحين. Brothers and sisters, by the name of Allah Ta'ala Almighty, the Giver, Allah Ta'ala who is protecting us from doing all the sins, Allah Ta'ala who has created us for one reason, which is worshiping Him and growing this earth, and make sure that we spread in the good deeds and prevent the bad deeds, inshallah Rabbil Alameen. Today's khutbah, brothers and sisters, is about something very, very important, and it's related and even more important than the actions we are doing. Today's khutbah is about the intention and the sincere intention to make sure that everything we're doing in this life, it's for one reason, which is sake of Allah Ta'ala, and make sure that we satisfy Allah Ta'ala and His commands. Brothers and sisters, any of our actions, if we don't put the sincerity and the right intention in front and before we start that action, it could be something bad coming back to us. And we are going to talk about hadith, about the three people, the first three categories of people who are going to go to the hellfire. But before that, I would like to start with a very famous hadith. This hadith, many scholars said it's almost 1/3 of the iman, or 1/3 of action to become Muslim or mu'min. This hadith was narrated by Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab, and it's a very well-known hadith. It's one of the first hadith in many of the books of the hadiths. This hadith was saying, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله ومن كانت هجرته إلى دنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. Brothers and sisters, this hadith that narrated by by Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab is mentioned that whenever you do any action, you are impacted by your niyyah and your intention. And Allah Ta'ala, and that hadith said, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, which means that acceptance of these actions impacted by the niyyah. And if your intention, whenever you do hijrah in the hadith, but indeed it's related to all of your actions, if your intention is to please Allah Ta'ala and to make sure to follow the commands of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the answer is your hijrah or immigration is going toward Allah and Rasulah. And that means Allah Ta'ala is going to hide what you're going to get, which is going to make sure that you understand it's going to be very big. Your reward is going to be huge. And on the other hand, if your intention of moving or immigration or doing any action is just, for example, getting anything from this dunya or getting married to someone, indeed it says that فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى مَا هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِ. Your immigration or your moving is whatever you're going to go towards. Even in the hadith, it did not mention that action again. It's just to make sure that it's not very, very important. Brothers and sisters, your life, your daily action could work. You can change it to a good action that Allah Ta'ala will give you rewards for it. If you just put the intention that for example, you wake up in the early morning just to make sure you get ready to pray a Fajr and to please Allah Ta'ala, then you start, as soon as you wake up, you start getting rewards. If your intention, whenever you bring food to eat, just to make sure that you are gonna get maybe stronger and you can stand up to do ibadah, then all of these actions gonna be added to your good deeds. If your intention, whenever you go to the gym or you're going for exercise or you walk outside to make your body stronger, indeed to be able to do worshiping, And then all of this will be written for you as good deeds. But on the other hand, brothers and sisters, if your intention is the opposite, if your intention just to wake up to go to work because part of your, your responsibility, then okay, you're gonna get whatever you're gonna get. It's basically you're gonna get salary. But that's not the right intention, brothers and sisters. Why are you gonna wake up in the morning and do all of these actions to collect money? Think about what's your goal for the end of this life. Is your goal just to collect money, to buy a new car, buy a nice house, or just your intention to please Allah Ta'ala? That should be your goal. Now it's not easy, it's easy to say, it's hard to do. And that's why many of the Sahaba and even the scholars said, we work in our intention as if we were working for our actions. We work hard to fix our intention. Our intention could be at the beginning for something different, but you need to teach yourself how I'm going to make my intention to make sure that intention or action is going toward Allah Ta'ala. That does not mean, brothers and sisters, if you don't have or you cannot build a good intention to make sure that I'm not going to do the action at all, or I'm not going to do anything to please Allah Ta'ala or anything else, because now you get in the shaitan to come to your mind and convince you that's not important because you don't have good intention. Your action should be, and your effort should be, how I'm going to fix my intention to make sure it's going toward Allah Ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, if you don't have the right intention, I need you to listen to this hadith that what's going to happen on the day of judgment. The first three categories, three people that they're going to go to the hellfire are the first one is going to be alim or hafiz Quran. And you're going to know now in a second why is that. The second one is somebody who gave money for the sake give money in charity. And the third one is a martyr. He went in a battle and died in the battle. So Allah Ta'ala will talk to these three people whenever in the day of judgment. And the first one, He will say, hey, you were a alim or you were a qari. Tell me, what did you do with whatever you got? And he will answer, I was reading Quran and spreading the ilm in your sake, Allah Ta'ala. And Allah Ta'ala, He said, no, you're lying. And the angels behind Allah Ta'ala said, no, you're lying. You were doing memorizing Quran and you're doing all of these alim courses or whatever you're doing to get knowledge just for the people to say you're alim or you're qari. And they did. And He will say, okay, take him to the hellfire. Second one is somebody who gave charity. Hefty amount of charity. And Allah Ta'ala knows what was the intention, but He asked him in the day of judgment. They said, what did you do with whatever we gave you? Oh Allah Ta'ala, I gave a lot of charity just to make sure that for your happiness. And Allah Ta'ala will say, no, you're lying. And the angels will say the same thing, you're lying. You did that just for the people to say that you're generous. And they did. And that's what you got. And that's it. And then they will take him to the hellfire. The third one is the martyr. He went and he basically gave his life in the battle. And whenever Allah Ta'ala asked him, what did you do? He said, I was fighting your sake, in the sake of Allah Ta'ala, for your happiness, Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala said, no, you're lying. You did that so the people will say brave, and they did. And you will go to the hellfire. Brothers and sisters, intention is very, very important. You could do all the good deeds. You could give a lot of charities. You could memorize Quran. You could also do a lot of good deeds for many years, and only for bad intention. Just for people to say something good about you, you lose everything. You need to make sure that you work hard to change that intention and put in front of your eyes, I'm going to do it just to please Allah Ta'ala. And brothers and sisters, here what I'm going to bring up, which is very, very important, a question that I need each one of you to answer by himself. Remember, do you have any secret between you and Allah Ta'ala? This is something we always ask. Do you have a secret? Do you have a good deed that you did that you don't need anybody around you to know it? If you don't, that's a problem. If every time you give a charity, you just stand up beside someone to take a picture to show off that, hey, I did a charity. Or you just read Quran, or for example, if you're praying and you know somebody around you, the rik'ah will be longer and the ayat will be longer, just to forsake of them know that you read the Quran. That's a problem. You need to have a secret between you and Allah Ta'ala. You need to have a charity that nobody knows about it but you and Allah Ta'ala. In the hadith that whenever you give charity, make sure that your right hand does not know, or your left hand does not know about what your right hand gave. Even yourself, you don't have to know what you give. And that's why that intention is extremely important. You need to make sure that you have a secret between you and Allah Ta'ala. That secret could be a good deed. Maybe a book that you spread, maybe Islamic book or Quran you gave him for sake of Allah Ta'ala. As I mentioned a minute ago, it's charity. Fasting for sake of Allah Ta'ala. You don't have, if you fast every Monday and Thursday, to come in the morning and say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't eat, I'm fasting today. There's no need for that. Keep it as a secret between you and Allah Ta'ala. Please Allah Ta'ala. And that's one of the ways how you practice. How you will practice having a good intention, because that's very, very important. And there is an ayah in the Juz' 30 في Surah Al-Bayyinah. It says, وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ وَيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَذَلِكَ دِينُ الْقَيِّمَةِ. And Allah Ta'ala did not command us except to worship Allah Ta'ala with sincerity, with right intention. That's what Allah Ta'ala needs from us. Allah Ta'ala does not need us to do put a big charity and start showing off, or making prayer and start showing off. Allah Ta'ala does not need us to do that. And make sure that whenever you do a good deed, don't speak about it. Wallahi, brothers and sisters, if you don't have a secret, just ask yourself. If you cannot answer that saying, yes, I was maybe supporting an orphan or doing something with nobody knowing, it's a problem. Because all of what you're doing, it looks like it's going toward it pleasing somebody else but Allah Ta'ala. You need to be very, very careful. And Allah Ta'ala, there is a hadith, إن الله لا ينظر إلى صوركم وأموالكم لكن ينظر إلى قلوبكم وأعمالكم. Allah Ta'ala looking inside your heart. And Allah Ta'ala knows. You don't have to tell Him. Just like the intention, you don't have to walk and say, I'm here to pray, I'm here to do wudu, I'm here, whatever. You need to make sure that Allah Ta'ala knows the secret inside your heart. And with that, you believe that Allah Ta'ala knows everything. You understand. You understand Allah Ta'ala will give you your rewards, and then you build that relationship with Allah Ta'ala. And you will have the right intention, inshaAllah Rabbil Alameen. Also, make sure that sometimes people make an intention and they say, for example, I'm going to go and get a riba, a usury loan, because I'm going to give charity. You cannot do that. Allah Ta'ala does not accept that. Your intention and your action should follow. You need to make sure that you get the right source of money and you know how to spend it. If there is anything you do haram because you think because of that I can't do good deeds, that's a problem. Unfortunately, we have many businesses here and they sell alcohol and they said, oh, it's okay, I will get some money and give it in charity. No, that's not accepted, brothers and sisters. You have to make sure that you get the right source and make sure that your intention is to please Allah Ta'ala in all of your action, and bring the halal money, and don't make good intention from bad deed. That's not right. That's not accepted at all. And you need to make sure that working on sincerity and good intention, it needs a lot of practice. A lot of practice, and I know that many people will say, okay, I did it for a good deed or good purpose, but people are, complimenting me. I understand. But what you need to know, if people complimenting you, making you happier than the reward of Allah Ta'ala, that's the problem. You need to make sure that that's not your intention. It's okay, people will say good stuff, that's fine. But your intention is only pleasing Allah Ta'ala. If that's coming as an extra, that's okay. But don't let that also change your intention down the road to please people rather than pleasing Allah Ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فيا فوز بالمستقيم استغفر الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله الأمين محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Brothers and sisters, there is a hadith al-Qudsi. Allah Ta'ala says, أنا أغنى الشركاء عن الشرك من عمل عملا أشرك معي فيه غيري تركته وشركه. That means Allah Ta'ala said, if you partner anybody with me, whenever you do any deeds, I will leave you and your shirk, which is your partnership with anybody else. I'm not going to look at that and accept that your intention is to please people and please me. You have one intention. You don't have a second or third intention, no at all, brothers and sisters. It's okay to take care of the people, but that's not your intention. Allah Ta'ala will not accept it. Even if it's 1% to please people rather than please Allah Ta'ala, you need to look inside your heart and change that need. Brothers and sisters, it's not easy. It's, as I said at the beginning, it's easy to say, it's hard to do, but you can practice it. You can practice it, and there are some stuff that you can do to help you build that good intention, inshallah Rabbil Alameen. The first thing, whenever you do any action, if you're going to give charity, you're going to pray, even go into Hajj, all of these big actions, ask yourself why you're doing it. If you still feel that you're doing it so the people will say Hajj Flan or he's Hajj, or to say that he's a generous person or he's a brave, maybe you need to just rethink what's the purpose. So practice that. Talk to yourself. What's the reason for doing that? Second thing, you need to make sure as well, you need to make dua that Allah Ta'ala will help you in that. That's not easy. But if you make dua that Allah Ta'ala will give you the sincerity and the good intention, Allah Ta'ala will help you. But you need to make sure that you're open to that question and asking Allah Ta'ala. Also, the third thing I mentioned in the khutbah, and you need to get used that to link everything you do to Allah Ta'ala. Everything you do in your life. Even as simple as I said, eating in the morning, walking, drinking water, doing anything. Just put in front of you that you are doing it to please Allah Ta'ala. You're feeding your kids. Your intention should be, I'm feeding my kids to please Allah Ta'ala. Not because I'm responsible, I need to grow them up. That's your responsibility, that's right. But what's the intention? Because you need to please Allah Ta'ala. And that will come with the practice. You need to keep practicing. And we need to make sure that the last thing you need to do, you need to have good friends. Make sure that you have friends that they can help you change your intention. If you friends, and you see that a lot, you have families like, they just like showing off. I bought a new car, let me drive the car around to show everybody. Or I have a new, let's say anything, new house, let me invite everybody to show them the house. That's not going to help you in fixing your niyyah. Just need to make sure that you have friends that are going to help you build a good intention. Good bias, like people who are really have good intention, inshallah, they will help you as well building your good intention. إن الله أمركم بأمر بدأ به بنفسه ثم ثنى بملائكة قدسه ثم أمركم أيها المسلمين فقال عز من قال الله إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما لبيك اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم علي كلمة الحق وهذا الدين اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك اللهم أعنا على إخلاص النيات